Yuki Tsunoda has been having a really tough time at Red Bull lately. The Japanese driver isn't meeting the expectations set by the Austrian team, and it's becoming obvious that things aren't going well. Even though the team has said he will stay until the end of the season, we all know that decisions in Formula One can change quickly if the results don't improve. Over the last two race weekends, Hajar scored more points than both Red Bull drivers combined. This raises a big question. Will Verstappen have a new teammate for 2025? And if not, what do the new rules mean for Red Bull in this situation? Right now, the team's future looks uncertain. Yuki qualified last in Barcelona, starting 20th, purely on pace, and didn't manage to earn any points, even with Verstappen's penalty and Lance Stroll out of the race. There's been a lot of talk about how difficult it is for anyone other than Verstappen to get the most out of the RB21 car. But beyond the car's performance, there are bigger issues to consider, such as the possibility of Yuki being replaced, maybe by Hajar. Red Bull boss Christian Horner avoided giving a straight answer when asked about this, saying something like, "I don't want to comment on that yet." Horner pointed out that Yuki is still getting used to the car and the team. He has made it to Q3, scored points on a few occasions, and even grabbed points starting from the pit lane. Of course, he's had some mistakes, but there's plenty of time for him to improve. The focus now is on giving Yuki time and support, helping him find a car setup that builds his confidence. Driving these cars requires trust, and until Yuki finds that, results will stay inconsistent. Verstappen himself has spoken out, saying Yuki is fast and talented, but just needs to put everything together. There's no doubt about Yuki's speed, but the question remains if he can consistently perform at the level Red Bull expects. It's a tough spot for the team, and with a driver struggling to deliver, Red Bull's challenge in the Constructors' Championship could become much harder. The situation at Red Bull keeps getting more complicated. Before Yuki, drivers had their own struggles adapting to Red Bull cars, whether it was the RB20 or RB19 models. For a long time, Sergio Perez was seen as the weaker link in the team. But now, after watching Yuki's recent performance, many are questioning if things have gotten worse. After Yuki's disappointing qualifying session in Barcelona, team principal Marco said this kind of performance needs a thorough review. He pointed out that on Friday, Yuki was surprisingly close to Verstappen's times, but then qualifying told a different story. Finishing last raised many eyebrows. Even though Yuki wasn't driving the latest car spec because of his crash at Imola, the results are concerning. The floor and some parts of his car are different from Verstappen's, yet Yuki's own mistakes, like the crash in Imola, didn't help. With limited spare parts and constant pressure, the team is in a tough spot. Marco admits they need to analyze everything carefully, especially since their chances at winning the Constructors' title depend on having two competitive cars on race day. Verstappen can have off weekends too, and if the second driver isn't close behind, Red Bull risks falling back into the midfield pack quickly. Despite all this, the general understanding is that Yuki will remain in the car until the season ends. But the fact that Hajar has scored more points over the last two races than Yuki and Verstappen combined makes you wonder if the team might make a change sooner than expected. Right now, Hajar is positioned higher than Yuki in the driver standings, with a wider margin than many thought possible. Yuki has 10 points, while Hajar has 21, a gap that could grow or shrink with one strong finish, but still, it's significant. Max. Verstappen has been defending Yuki through all the criticism, insisting that the struggles aren't a sign that Yuki lacks talent. Max pointed out that Yuki has shown he can be faster than Lawson in the past, which says a lot about both the driver and the car. However, Max also hinted that the car itself might not suit every driver equally, and that's a challenge for the team to figure out. When asked what Hajar would need to step up if he replaces Yuki, Max joked that the young French driver would require not one but 10 psychiatrists. It was a lighthearted comment, but it highlights the mental pressure drivers face at Red Bull. Confidence and mindset are key in managing this car, and it's clear Yuki has struggled to find that stability. Yuki has had moments of brilliance, sometimes matching Max closely, but when it counts most, his performances haven't met expectations. His lack of confidence shows on the track, and without trusting the car, mistakes and poor results tend to pile up. This uncertainty weighs heavily on Yuki's future at Red Bull. Veteran Marco believes Yuki's seat is secure for now, but warns, that's no guarantee for the long term. Marco highlighted how the cars often look like a mess during Friday practice, but get fixed by qualifying, with Max adapting instantly, while Yuki takes longer to build trust. In Barcelona, Yuki's car didn't even have the same updates as Max's due to the Imola crash, making his task even tougher. Now the question is whether getting a seat at Red Bull is truly a step up for a driver like Yuki. History shows that the two Red Bull cars aren't the same when it comes to handling and stability. Just because Max can push the RB21 to its limits doesn't mean everyone else can match that performance. It might even be better for young talents like Hajar, Lawson, or Yuki to score podiums with Racing Point rather than struggle at Red Bull. Racing Point has become more of a place to grow rather than the ultimate prize. So if the call comes from Red Bull's top team, it might be hard for Hajar to refuse, though it's clear that Racing Point is slowly trying to become more independent. This season might be a turning point for Hajar's career, especially if he gets that chance. Meanwhile, the support Yuki has from veterans like Marco and Max could help him turn things around. But with all the pressure mounting, it's uncertain how his performance will evolve in the coming months. One thing that's clear is that Red Bull has no interest in signing Carlos Sainz, despite having had the opportunity. The team wants to avoid bringing in a driver who could challenge Max's position. Sainz might be talented, but compared to Yuki, Lawson, and others, he's seen as a bigger threat, which doesn't fit Red Bull's current mindset. Red Bull's approach shows how they prioritize Max's dominance, leaving little room for teammates who might challenge him. Carlos Sainz himself has mentioned that he understands why he wasn't signed by Red Bull. It's about maintaining Max's stronghold on the team. Despite this, a driver like Sainz could have been the answer Red Bull needs to stay competitive in the Constructors' Championship and reduce its reliance on just one driver. If Yuki's performance doesn't improve soon, his future in Formula One looks uncertain. While Red Bull might still offer him some chances, other teams like Aston Martin or Cadillac could be his next options. However, those opportunities seem slim, especially since Honda will continue supporting the Silverstone-based team, and they seem unlikely to push Yuki into one of their cars next year. Cadillac, on the other hand, appears to be focusing on younger drivers like Mick Schumacher and Guan Yu Zhou, while they want experienced racers such as Sergio Perez or Valtteri Bottas for other seats. This further narrows Yuki's chances of finding a strong alternative in F1. With all these factors in play, the big question remains, is Yuki Tsunoda's future at Red Bull and in Formula One in real danger? If things don't change on the track, he may struggle to hold on to his spot. Fans and experts are already wondering where he might go next if Red Bull lets him go. Some believe that smaller teams might pick him up, but it's hard to say if he'll find a stable seat. Others think he could leave Formula One altogether or move to a different racing series. It's a tough situation, especially considering the fierce competition for seats and the pressure that comes with driving at the top level. For now, Yuki has the support of some within the Red Bull organization, but the coming races will be crucial. How he adapts and whether he can turn his performances around will decide if he stays or has to look elsewhere. So, what do you think? Does Yuki have a future with Red Bull, or should he start looking for a new challenge? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to click on the video on your screen right now to keep up with the latest in racing news. To sum it all up, Red Bull finds itself at a crossroads. Their second driver's struggles have raised questions not only about the team's future, but also about how they manage talent. Yuki Tsunoda's journey has been a roller coaster, moments of promise shadowed by tough challenges. While he's shown flashes of speed and potential, consistency remains the key hurdle. The team will need to decide soon whether to continue backing Yuki or make a change, especially with promising names like Hajar waiting in the wings. At the same time, Red Bull's approach to nurturing drivers and maintaining Max Verstappen's dominance means there's little room for error. For Yuki, the coming months will be a test of resilience and growth. Can he rise to the occasion and prove he deserves to be in the Red Bull seat? Only time will tell. Thanks for sticking with this analysis. Don't forget to share your opinions below. Who do you think should be Red Bull's second driver? And what's your take on Yuki's future in Formula One?